Welcome to Tricks of the S-Trade. Today is the 15th of March, 2021. And before we start, we just want to explain a couple of things to you so you can get the proper footing and foundation for the rest of the Legends of Roll Calls video. What we intend to explain first and foremost is what deception is. And the reason why you're looking at the picture of the screen is to explain how deception works. Now, deception in itself is a picture presented to you. So as you can see right here, there is a picture of a black man and two black women. All right. And now somebody looking at this picture, let's say anybody at all looking at this picture, can make an assumption about this picture. It could make the assumption that this man has two daughters. It could make an assumption that this man right here has a wife and a daughter. You could make an assumption that these are three friends hanging out together. They could make an assumption that this man might be the son to this woman. They can make an assumption that this could be siblings. They could make an assumption that this could be friends. So in every assumption that you have made, you are not the person in the picture, so you do not have the right information. So that's how deception works. It's presenting you a picture, all right? And the only people who will know about the relationship or what the picture actually means are the people in the picture. So that means if there was a painter painting this picture, he would not be able to give you the right information because a painter is just a writer of information. He's just doing as he's told, all right? He's just writing information as he sees it. Does that mean that that is correct? No. How about the person at the gallery looking at this picture right here, which we all are? Because everybody who is not in the picture, who are not the individuals in the picture, we are all spectators. We are just looking. And so this is how deception works, because deception means that you're making an assumption about everything that you're looking at without knowing the truth. And the only people who can tell you the truth are the people in the picture. And here we are today, the people in the picture telling you what the picture actually means. So deception is all about looking at pictures and making an assumption about what you're looking at without actually understanding what the picture is. That is what a deception actually means. So here is another picture. So anybody can look at several pictures, all right? But they'll never understand what they're looking at because they are not the people in the picture. The only people who can tell you what the picture is about are the people in the picture. So this is why everything has been going on as is up till today, because we are all making assumptions and we are not interested in finding out the individuals that are in the picture. So until you are able to find out who the individuals are, and hear it from their own mouths, you will never be able to understand this world. And as you're listening to my voice today, you are listening to the people who were first and foremost in the picture. And they are telling you what is going on with the picture. So that means as you're listening to my voice, there are two things that are going to happen to you. You're either listening to the sound of your death, or you're either listening to the sound of life. Let's go.
When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature. You think you're going to get the truth in a town like this? When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature. Do you see the beauty of it? The inevitability. You rise, only to fall. You, Avengers, you are my meteor, my swift and terrible sword, and the earth will crack with the weight of your failure. Purge me from your computers, turn my own flesh against me. It means nothing. When the dust settles, the only thing living in this world will be metal. You remember me?
How you doing tonight?
Doing well, officer.
Can I see your driver's license, registration, and insurance, please?
Of course. My license is right here, my wallet. It's all right, son. You remember the night in July? Hands up! Hey! Wait! Put the phone down! Put that phone down! Sorry, it's a phone! It's a cell phone. It's just a cell phone. You knew he was unarmed. Get to the car and put your hands in the air! Officer, please, he's just a kid! You pointed your gun at him. Okay, get out of the car, son. Easy. You pulled the trigger. Put the phone away! Put the phone away!
The grand jury determined that no probable cause exists to file any charges against Officer Randall.
This is my son. This is my little boy. You took that from me. The world took that from me. Today we make that right. Hear me when I say this, because I'm only going to say it once. Don't stop filming.
You should just give up now.
Why are we the only people in this country that are expected to do things without violence? I didn't mean to kill your son! What you did. I did what I was trying to do! I just want justice. That's all I want. This is your jury. The deciders of your fate. Today, you will be tried for the murder of my son. You scared? Are you afraid?
So begins the end.
Now, all you black folks, I suggest you get away from all these white folks. Not you, Stephen. You're right where you belong.
it's only proper, since we're on Legends of Roll Call and this is part 1, that we should start off with some legendary transvestigation. But before we do that, we have to introduce you to our document. If it's your first time on our channel, we'd like you to get to the description section of this video and you will see a link. Click on that link, it will lead you to this document. This document helps you to identify the differences between male and female. Now, why is it necessary for you to understand the differences between male and female? It is because since the 1500s, the government of this world and Roman Christianity decided to embark on a plan to brainwash humanity. They decided to start telling stories that human beings were primitive, especially in black people. You're going to find out the rest of the story at the end of Legends of Roll Call or as we roll along. So they decided to brainwash humanity. Humanity for a very long time has always been full of intelligence. But through the spread of Christianity, the spread of lies in telling people that they were primitive, that they should seek a better life or civilization, which is actually sorcery, humanity has been brainwashed to believe that they do not know anything because someone else is doing something differently, which looks nice because they have a paint over, all right, or they have some good cosmetic makeup and some pyrotechnics. You actually believe that what you're looking at is better than what you got. So this is what happened to humanity, and because of this, humanity has been brainwashed into not knowing anything. They've been brainwashed from having natural intelligence to now seeking intelligence, all because of white supremacists. So this document for you is to help you understand the differences between male and female, because right now humanity has to be taught again the truth, which they've always known, discarded for the false fantasies presented to them by white supremacy. And you're going to be sorely disappointed at the end of this video that you have been brainwashed to believe this fallacy. So this document here is going to show you a whole lot of differences between male and female. Now, we're going to be using some advanced techniques on this particular transvestigation as we go later on in the video. But for here, the major difference that you have to know between a man and a woman is that a female always has an arch in her back. Why does a female have an arch in her back? Because the pelvis of a woman is tilted forward, as you can see here. So the pelvis is tilted forward at an angle so that the baby can stay inside the womb for the duration of gestation that the baby needs to be born. And it also provides extra support for the weight of carrying children. So that's why a female always has an arch in her back. All females have an arch in the back, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their weight, their size, their height. A woman always has an arch in her back. A woman always has an arch in her back, regardless of her weight, size, shape, or anything at all. Because that is how a skeleton was made, and all skeletons are determined at conception. Why is that the case? A lot of people do not know that the male carries 2 types of sperm. One sperm is smaller. It's the XX sperm, or that means the female sperm, okay? And another sperm is XY, is a bigger sperm. It carries the male sperm. So that means a man produces 2 sperm. One is the female sperm, and the other is the male. Also with females, females create 2 types of ovums. They have the XX ovum, all right, or ovary, which is for females, and the XY, which is for males. So what usually happens is this. If a woman is unable to give birth to male children, it means that she's only ovulating from one side of her ovary, and that is usually the left side. So if you're a female, your left hand and your left ovary produces female eggs. The right side, or your right side, if you place your hand on the right side of your tummy, the right side of your ovary, okay, produces male eggs. So the same with the man. Your left testicles produce female sperm. The right testicles produce male sperm. So during intercourse, when a man ejaculates, all right, and the male sperm all flow into the female fallopian tube, okay? The male sperm can only fertilize the female male eggs, which is coming from the right side of her fallopian tube. The female sperm of the man, which is coming from his left testicle, can only fertilize the female ovary coming from the left ovum of the woman, from the left fallopian tube. So if you ever watched a video, because this is what science doesn't teach people, because they do not want you to know the truth. You've seen some videos on maybe, let's say, a sperm trying to fertilize an egg. You will find out there are so many sperms, right, will surround the egg and be unable to penetrate the egg. Why does that happen? Because all the sperms surrounding that egg are different. They are not compatible with the female egg. So what usually happens is this: the male sperm from the right testicle, which carries the XY, if you want to call it XY, because there's no such thing, it's just a male sperm, and science has labeled it XY. It can only fertilize the egg from the right ovum, which carries the male egg from the female. The same with the sperm that's coming from the left testicle of a man. That female sperm can only fertilize the female egg that's coming from the left side of the fallopian tube of a woman. So when all those sperms gather around one egg, if they are not compatible, the woman is not going to be able to get pregnant. So when you see a woman who has only male children, it means she's only ovulating from the right side of a fallopian tube. And every time that she has intercourse, only the male sperm from the right testicle of the man now fertilizes that egg, and she has male children. Now, if a woman only has female children, it means that she's only ovulating from the left side of her ovary. And every time she has intercourse, the sperm from the left testicle of the man, which carries the female seed, fertilizes that egg, and she only has female children. Naturally, women were supposed to ovulate from both of their fallopian tubes every month. But because of the food that we eat, which you're going to find out the reasons later on in this video, and because of brainwashing and mind control, some women can only ovulate from one fallopian tube throughout their whole entire lives. And this is something that you have to understand, which is not taught, because science has always tried to always ridicule manhood. And there's a very specific reason for that, which we'll explain later. All fertility issues come from the woman. This is one thing that you have to understand. All fertility issues come from a female. It does not come from males, except the man is dead. Now, because science does not want people to understand that because of feminism, all right, the destruction of manhood, because for Satan to succeed in running this world, manhood has to be destroyed. He has created a scenario in making people to believe that fertility issues happen with males. It does not happen with males. Now, why is that the case? Because someone's going to ask, how can you say that? Because of testosterone. A male has very high testosterone. When we're talking about males here, we're talking about black males. We're not talking about anybody else. Males have very high testosterone. So a man is always going to produce seed. This is one thing that you have to understand. A man will always produce seed because it was his birthright. That's the ability that the Creator gave him, because if the male cannot produce seed, Okay? It means humanity is dead. So there is no such thing as male infertility. It's only female infertility. Now, why is the reason that a woman can be infertile? Because you have to remember this. When Satan attacked humanity, who was the first person that he attacked? Females. Because why? A female or woman is weaker than a man. This is the truth. So this is the reason why feminism is preached, because for the destruction of humanity, the same thing that Satan did in the beginning, in attacking Eve and deceiving Eve, because Adam was not deceived. Adam just agreed. He knew the truth, because you cannot deceive a creator, because Adam was made in the image of the creator. But through Eve, destruction was brought upon humanity. In this same vein today, feminism has been preached to such a high that it is destroying all facets of humanity. And we're going to get into that later on. So this is the reason why females have infertility. Because of Satanism, because of feminism brought about by Satan. So when you understand that the only way that humanity can be deceived is by deception, and you understand the origins of deception, that Satan deceived Eve, it does mean that deception is feminism. Without the practice and the mental conditioning of humanity to accept feminism, all right, there can be no deception. So deception in this world is feminine manipulation and energy, because today women have been made to be the greatest enemies of humanity because of their mental construct. So that is why, for example, in the Western world today, if you go into any establishment around the world, Western world in particular, women have more jobs than men. That means they are emasculating men. So women are given primary the jobs over males. Walk into any establishment, what you find are females. Where are the males? Because Satan understands that for him to run this world and to deceive humanity, the feminine has to be promoted. And this is exactly what happened after the flood. Feminism was promoted, and we'll explain all that, because people do not understand that the concept of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit that you see in the Bible is the concept of the Trinity of feminism. It is actually Father, Son, and a mother. So for example, when you go into church establishments and you see the Virgin Mary carrying a child, what does that signify? That the Creator is a baby and the feminine is carrying the Creator, which is not true. Because at the start of all things, it was a man. The Creator is a man. Now, since you've understood that, the next thing that you have to understand is this. All genetic material, okay, comes from the man. The woman is nothing but a representation of the earth or the land or the soil. So for example, let's take a look at regular intercourse between a man and a woman. Regular intercourse between a man and a woman happens when a woman is laying down and the man is on top. That is symbology that the woman is the ground and the man is planting a seed. So all genetic material, what you are today, comes from a man. It doesn't matter if you're female. So the female is just a female representation of the male. The genetic material of who she is, her character, her behavior comes from her dad. Now, the soil, which is the woman at intercourse, may have some sort of rub off on the peculiarities or the character or the genetic material, but who you are as a person comes from your daddy. And that is how it works. So when feminism is being preached and being elevated, feminism is the opposites against the creator. That is why Satan went through Eve. He did not go through Adam. And through Eve, as all women today in this world, who do not practice, who do not go after doing the commandments of the creator, they are all led by Satan. And the greatest demonic activity of Satanism is got through females. This is a known fact.
Starting with millions of sperm, only one, the fastest and the strongest, will reach the finish line. Those who make it closer to the end compete fiercely with each other. Together, they attack the egg cell. Their only goal is to be the first one to enter the egg. Only one will make it through. Finally, we have a winner. The winning sperm enters the egg and conception occurs.
So here is a picture of what I'm trying to explain so you guys can have a proper understanding of the fertilization process that happens during intercourse. So as the picture shows you on the screen, you can see that there is a lot of sperm surrounding this egg. Now, what the sciences, the false medical science and the medical industry does not tell you is that when they're trying to do some sort of IVF implantation, trying to make a woman get pregnant, they do not make you understand that there is no way to separate the male sperm from the female sperm. So, for example, they say that males carry XY chromosome and the females carry XX. That is just some bullshit lies. What they're trying to explain to you, because they don't want you to know, because everybody has to be brainwashed, is that the male produces two kinds of sperm. The XX sperm is the female sperm. It only fertilizes a female egg that comes out from the left fallopian tube of a woman. They don't want to let you understand also that the XY is the male sperm. It's a bigger sperm, all right? And it only fertilizes the egg that comes out from the right fallopian tube, which is the male egg in the female ovum or ovary, as you want to call it. So this is what they do not want you to understand. So when you see they present this kind of picture as we're showing you on the screen, and there is so much sperm surrounding one egg, is because all this sperm, right, surrounding this egg is both the male and the female sperm. But only one gets to fertilize the egg if it matches with the right egg. The male sperm only fertilizes the male egg from the right fallopian tube of the woman, and the male sperm comes from the right testicle of a man. If you look at a man's testicles, the right side is always going to be sitting higher, right? And the left side is always going to be sitting lower. Why is that the case? Because the left side of the male testicle contains a lot of estrogen, so it sits lower, all right? The right side of the man's testicle contains more testosterone because it's producing the male sperm, so it sits higher. So that is what usually happens. And the medical industry doesn't let you know all this. So when they have females on this IVF, all right, fertilization, and they take the sperm from the man, all right, and take an egg from a woman, sometimes the female is only ovulating from one egg. So they have all this sperm, they're trying to force it in, because even if they force the male sperm, all right, into the female egg, that means the XY, the male sperm coming from the right testicle of the man, into the egg coming from the left fallopian tube of a woman. That sperm will not fertilize. It will die because they are not compatible. So crossbreeding, because that's exactly what they're trying to do, trying to create a human being by crossbreeding. If they're trying to force the male sperm into a female egg that's coming from the left fallopian tube, which produces only females, it won't fertilize, it will die. So the reason why all this sperm are hanging around here and trying to fertilize this egg is that all this could just be female sperm, and they're incompatible with the male egg from the female, from the right fallopian tube. So the right fallopian tube of a female produces only male eggs, can only be fertilized by the male sperm that comes from the right testicle of a man. So that is how it works. And the sperm produced from the left testicle of a male, which is actually the female sperm, can only fertilize the left egg produced from the left fallopian tube of a woman. They do not cross over. There are no crossovers. That is what happens during fertilization. And this is one of the secrets that the medical industry does not tell you, and does not make people to understand that all fertilization issues come from the woman. And as we've talked about it before here, when we mention the word man and woman, we are only talking about black people. Because anybody else who is not black has issues. If they carry any form of albinism, or there are albinos without knowing it, because a lot of people are albinos without knowing it. And let me show you that before we continue on. So here is an example of trying to explain what we mean by being black, but you're actually an albino. Because remember, albinism is determined by the hair. Once the hair is straight and you're unable to keep an afro, it means that you're an albino. So here is a woman. If she was asked what her ethnicity is, she would say she is black. But in actuality, she is not black anymore because the hair is now straight. It's straight like any other albino that you find, okay? As long as the hair is straight, it does not matter if you identify yourself as being black. You are not black. That is the honest truth. And if that happens, it means that you're most likely going to have a lot of health issues. So this is the same picture of this female, and as you can see, the hair is no longer able to keep any form of an afro because the hair has lost its strength. Because what happens is when black people inbreed, Inbreed by either marrying their siblings, their cousins, their nieces and uncles, their own nuclear family. All right. What happens is that the carbon, which is falsely called melanin, is stripped. When it's stripped, there is not enough information for the body at fertilization to be able to produce or able to come out the way it's supposed to be as the Creator made it. So when that happens, what happens is the hair, the woolly hair of a black person loses all its hair follicles. And when it loses all its hair follicles, it comes out to be the straight hair of an albino, in which when you drop water on it, the water soaks into the hair. With black people who have not inbred, when you put water in the hair follicles prevent water from seeping into the hair strands. So you now have to force it by some way of oiling it, adding some oils and moisturizing it more. But even then, the hair follicles still prevent the water from seeping into the hair strands. And it's something that you have to do over and over and over again because it will not let the water stay. So if you've understood that, you can now understand how you can be black, but you're not actually black. You're an albino from the hair. So you can understand what you need to do. If you are black but not black, you need to find someone who has woolly hair to procreate with. Otherwise, if you continue on procreating with someone who has straight hair and identifies themselves as being black, your children are going to have problems. They're going to have fertility issues in the long run, just like you. Because if you're not black, you have a whole host of problems that you would never ever dream of, because being an albino is not an ethnicity. It's not the way the Creator made you. So if you continue living on being an albino and accepting albinism as a nature, as the way that you should progress or the way you need to be, the whole reason for COVID-19, which the learned elders created to control the world because of the truth that is going to come out in this video, and especially on the shape of our world, you will receive the artificial intelligence chip, which all this was designed for, and for something more down the line. It's going to lead the world into that. Let's continue on. Which showing you the difference is that a woman always has to have an arch in her back because her skeleton is designed, right from the fact that a man carries the female sperm that produces only females in his left testicles. They're smaller. And a woman carries the female egg in her left fallopian tube, which is responsible for producing only females. And because of this, a woman's skeleton is always designed from conception to be a woman. There is no such thing as saying that during a phase, the pregnancy phase that a woman goes through, that the female that she carried could change to a male. It's not possible. Because when the Creator made this world, everything was supposed to produce after its kind. So, what does that mean? Apples will always produce apples. You will never see an apple tree produce oranges. You will see lions give birth to lions. You will see birds give birth to birds. Snakes give birth to snakes. So everything produces after its kind. In the same manner, evil will always produce evil. There is no way that someone can repent if he was born evil to become good. That is a concept of Christianity which is false, to make you believe that evil people can become good. If it was possible the world would not be the way it is today, because I want you to take a good look at what is happening, especially with COVID-19 that we're going to get later into. You can see that this world is full of evil. Why? Because evil always produces evil. Good produces good. They do not change or do not mix. The reason why Christianity decided to make people believe that people can repent and change their ways, all right, from becoming evil, okay, to doing good, is not possible. A good man can do mistakes, but he will not do evil.
As the countdown begins to the 21st century, it's good to know there is still one number you can always count on.
Bond.
Bond.
Can't you just say hello like a normal person?
Renard is behind this.
He will die along with everyone in the city.
I sent 009 to kill Reynard. He put a bullet in his head. That bullet's still there.
He feels no pain. He can push himself harder, longer than any normal man.
No hard feelings, Mr. Bond.
It appears that you have been beaten.
First, never let them see you bleed. And the second, always have an escape plan.
For the world's greatest secret agent.
You've defused hundreds of these, right?
When the stakes are high.
Yeah, but they're usually standing still.
And the danger hits too close to home.
He has M.
By noon tomorrow, you'll feel nothing at all.
I thought it was your job to protect me.
It's not just professional.
Someone's tampered with the bomb!
It's personal.
I have to get it back, or somebody's gonna have my butt.
First things first.
I'm gonna find him.
Who's afraid now, Mr. Bond?
I will not miss.
I never miss.
Do you want to put that in English for those of us who don't speak spy?
Why am I suddenly worried I'm not carrying enough insurance?
Your time is up.
The world is not enough. The world is not enough. The world is not enough.
This is one thing that you have to understand. An evil man does evil, but he can do good deeds. It does not change the fact that he's still evil. A good man does mistakes. He's not sitting down and doing evil. We'll get onto that later. But for now, I just want you to understand that there is no such thing as the female skeleton switching. The female skeleton remains female, born female, created female right from the day of conception. And for that, a woman always has an arch in her back. So all females have an arch in their back, regardless of their shape, size, age, weight, ethnicity, sickness. There's always going to be an arch in a female's back. And this is what I'm trying to scroll through in the document just to show you. Arch in her back right there, arch in her back. A male always has a straight back because males don't give birth, okay? Because we needed to explain this for you to understand how fertilization works, because a lot of people do not know, they are not taught, because the whole medical industry is a fraud from top to bottom. And we'll find out later on in the video. The whole entire medical industry does nothing good for you than to poison you and to make you sick. It was created only to help albinos, anybody with straight hair. And we'll get into that later on. But for now, we just want you to understand that a female always has an arch in her back, regardless of her shape, size, weight, or anything. Arch in her back. It doesn't matter if she works out, okay, and she's very active in the gym. There's always going to be an arch in a female's back, as you can see right here. This is a female kneeling down, and you can see there's an arch in that back, right? Because her pelvis is tilted forward for childbirth. Always going to be an arch in a female's back. Doesn't matter what shape, color, ethnicity, there's always going to be an arch in a female's back, as you can see right here. A C-shaped back, okay? All right? So a lot of people try to always get into the idea of saying maybe if a female works out, she's taking steroids, or she's doing some sort of things to her body that her genetics. When we talk about genetics here, I want you to always remember, genetics talks about the skeleton. It doesn't mean anything more. Don't let the wicked medical industry who's trying to kill you, and they've been killing so many people so successfully with this COVID-19, and this is the destruction. This is a deconstruction of the whole entire medical industry on Legends of Roll Call, as you're going to find out. They always try to make you believe in all these weird stories that genetics, your skeleton can change because of whatever that you're doing. Your skeleton will always remain the same. That is why when people die and are buried for years, okay, when they dig out the bones, they can still find out if this person was male or female by the bones, because nothing can change the skeleton. Nothing. No surgery. Nothing can change the skeleton. So a female will always have an arch in the back. Big female to the left, arch in the back. Small female to the right, arch in the back. It doesn't matter if she works out. There's still going to be an arch in a female's back. Here's two females right here, as you can see. They both have an arch in her back. All right? Now, the primary trait of recognizing a female, because sometimes when a woman wears clothes, depending on how she sits, depending on her posture, she can straighten her spine. So if you're looking at a picture, you can get confused and think maybe she doesn't have an arch in the back. So the most identifying feature of every female, no matter what happens, is always going to be her hips. The hips of a female are below her crotch. Why is it below the crotch? So the hips are out of the way for childbirth. And let's show you that. So here we are trying to show you that the primary identification for a woman, okay? We don't want you to get into any form of, let's say, advanced techniques, because most likely you're going to miss it. There's a reason why you're going to miss it. Primary identification for every female is always going to be hips below the crotch. So if you get confused about anything, you're never going to get confused about a female's hips, period. The hips are the primary identification marker. So if you're trying to find out what a female looks like, just look at the hips and you're going to know. Any other thing, you're going to fail, because people do not understand this. And let me just make this very, very clear at this point in time. There's a lot of differences between a black female body and an albino female body. So if you're trying to use the other identification markers for a female besides the hips, you are actually going to lose. You will not get it correct, because as we've shown you an example already, we've shown you a black woman, okay, who's actually an albino, but she will not know that. So if you're trying to measure that black woman with a regular black woman who's not an albino, in the advanced identification markers of the gender, you are likely going to fail, because people do not understand this. So always target the hips if you're trying to identify a female from a male. Don't go for anything else. The hips and the back, the arch in the back and the female hips. So the female hip is always going to be below the crotch, because the reason for it being below the crotch is so that there should be enough space for a baby to come out of the womb when the time is due. That is why the females are below the crotch, to be out of the way. A man's hip is above his crotch because a man's genitalia needs to be outside. It performs below body temperature. So that's why the man's hip is above. Everything is designed and created and will produce after its kind. This is what the Creator made. So you can never be wrong looking at a female's hips. So if you have any problem looking at it from the front, as you can see right here, that's the measurement of the hips right there. As you can see, it is below the crotch. Right? It's below it. If a female turns around from the back, as this female is doing, you will find out that this is a woman, because you can never miss a woman when you look at a woman from the back. You could have maybe problems, maybe looking at it from the front, but when a woman turns around from the back, you're definitely going to know this is a woman, because of the hips, the wide hips, which start spreading from just above her navel. That's where a woman starts spreading, and she starts getting wider all the way down to the hips right here, as you can see. And for a female, the hip from the back, all right, where you measure it, is always going to be slightly above the bum line. If this was a male right here, this line right here of this hip will be farther up here. It will be so far away from this bum line. But with females, it's going to be very, very close to the bum line. And once you see that, that is the identification marker that you're looking at a female. So you're always not going to fail if you're looking at the hips. It's only proper, since we're in Legends of Roll Call, to start off with someone whose name actually means a legend, because on Legends of Roll Call, we are destroying all legends. We're going to destroy some of it on Legends of Roll Calls, and then we're going to destroy it totally on the video that is called The Shape of a World, for those who will get it. And then we are going to decimate, total annihilation of anything that's a lie when you get our Bible. And the Bible is not going to be for everyone, because people do not understand that the Bibles that we read today were created by Roman Christianity to sell us white supremacy. And they created the medical industry to help fool blacks and to make them sick, because albinism is always sick, so that people would not see that the only people that they see when they get to the hospital are albinos and not black. And meanwhile, there are more black people in the world that are albinos, because the hospital system, the whole medical industry was created to sell us white supremacy. And you're going to find out the faces of the kings who will rule the world on the shape of a world and what is really going on in this world, because people do not have any idea of what's really going on. So here is Mr. Let's not call him Mr. anymore, because it's actually Miss John Legend. So John Legend here and Chrissy Teigen are two females. So all the while people have been celebrating this couple because they never know what they're celebrating. They have not figured out that these are homosexuals. Why is there so much homosexuality in Hollywood? Why is there so much deviancy in Hollywood? Because you have to understand this. If people keep, practice, and do the commandments of the Creator, you have the power of the Creator showing up in this world. Does that make sense? But if people practice deviancy, what do you think you have? You will have the power of Satan and of demons. Now, what Satan actually does, he doesn't do any miracle. He distorts reality. He distorts the natural order of this world. And when people look at a distortion, they think it's a miracle. So if you count from 1 to 10 normally, okay? 1 to 10 is the linear progression of counting. That means you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now tell me, if someone starts counting 1, 3, 6, 9, is that a miracle? It's a distortion of counting. They're just counting it wrongly, because we know that 3, okay, that 2 comes before 3, but they missed it. And you call that a miracle. That is what we've been looking at all this while, a distortion of natural order, and we call it a miracle. So John Legend, as you can see right here, has hips that are below the crotch. And I want you to see how both of them walk, because people don't understand how females and males walk. A female has hips below the crotch. And because of the hips below the crotch, a woman has to catwalk because her body mechanically has to handle the weight distribution of the hips being below the crotch. So she has to walk in line to balance the weight. That's why women catwalk, one foot in front of the other. But with males, males don't have that kind of weight distribution at the hips because the hips are above the crotch. So a man walks normally. He doesn't need to mechanically or biologically handle the weight distribution of the hips or of the pelvis. So without that, a woman wouldn't be able to balance without catwalking, because it would throw off her weight. So that's why women catwalk. And this is what you see John Legend do, because the hips are below the crotch, as you can see right here. Now, the secondary identification marker for John Legend here is the arms. The arms right here are following the contours of the body, because a woman's arms are never straight. From the elbows, they will switch out and follow the curvature of the hips. And this is what John Legend's arms are trying to do, because John Legend is 100% female and was never ever a born male, because you can switch genders, because you can't change the skeleton. The medical industry, which was designed by white supremacists, by the learned elders of Zion, who control the people of Scripture, okay? As they've always done in the Sadducees and Pharisees, hating the high priest and the Levitical priesthood, which they have told us does not exist anymore, so that they can be the leaders and control the people of Scripture, which everybody in this world is lying about that they are when they are not. So here's another picture of John Legend. As you can see right here, that chest is not the male chest. You can see right there, that is the chest of a female. The mammary glands of a female who's designed to give breast milk when she is pregnant or giving birth or gestating, okay? So this is the chest of a female. is not the chest of any man, as you can see right here. John Legend has been posing and lying that he's a male when he's not. Deviancy. So there's a reason why the medical industry lies so much about all these things, because they don't want you to understand the truth. Medicine, the medical industry, I want you to hear me now loud and clear. The medical industry is pure evil. It has nothing for you than death. It was designed to treat albinism so black people would believe in the weakness of white supremacy. That is what happened, and we'll show you that history later. So the medical industry is constructed for one purpose only: to protect albinos and make them well. Because when you go to the hospitals, all you see are people who are not black. Majority, 80% of the people in the hospital who go there, who are sick, are not black. Go take a look and see. It was designed because these people are weak. It was designed to keep them strong. And because it was designed to keep them strong, to cover up black people's eyes so they do not see that albinism is a weakness, the medical industry and the food industry decided to pass poisons to black people in the food that they eat, in the medicine that they take, so that they can all be sick and go to the hospital as a cover, so they do not see that the people who are naturally the weakest among them are people who are not black like them. When we say black right here, we mean black having woolly hair. So that is what the medical industry was designed for: to brainwash you into believing in the weakness, because it's not strength, of white supremacy, which is run by Satan. A feminine, not masculine, form of controlling humanity by weakness, because a woman is naturally weaker than a man. So white supremacy is run by what? Feminism. And so in order, to make feminism to be accepted as masculinity, in order for that to grow, transgenders have to be made. That's why you have transgenders in every sphere of society. For example, Mr. Donald Trump, ex-president, if you want to call him so, is a female. The vice president, Mike Pence, is a female. And now we have Kamala Harris in office, who's actually a female. All feminine energy being flooded, because with that feminine energy, Satan can run this world. So he has to effeminize everybody. Let's continue on. Here's another picture of John Legend. As you can see right here, John Legend's arms are still trying to follow the contours of the female body and follow the outline and shape of a female's hip, because John Legend here is 100% female, was never a male. Just look at that. The outline is following the contours of a female hip, as you can see right here, because John Legend is 100% female. And look at that chest. That is the chest of no man. That is the chest of female with breast tissue, because John Legend is 100% female. Same thing here, hips below the crotch, acute Q angle, and arms following the contours of the body, because John Legend is 100% female. And look at how John Legend walks right here. This is how a woman walks and keeps her arms. And this is what John Legend is doing, because John Legend is 100% female. That's that effeminacy, feminism that John Legend possesses, because John Legend is 100% female. And here is that feminism again, oozing out of John Legend. See that arm right there? That's how a female keeps her arms, because as you can see, these arms are trying to follow the contours of the female hip, because that's how a woman's arms are. It is always following the contours of a female hip. From the elbows, the arm twists out to follow the hips. And this is what John Legend possesses, because John Legend is 100% female, was never a man. You can still see that same catwalk, one foot in front of the other, just like Chrissy Teigen. Two homosexuals. walking around pretending that they are a heterosexual couple when they're 100% female. We present to you Mr. John Legend, 100% woman, not a Mr., but a Miss. And here is John Legend again, as you can see, hourglass figure, hips like a female, because John Legend is 100% woman and was never a man in any way, shape, or form. And you can still see right here, acute Q angle that's below the crotch, hourglass figure, walking like a female because John Legend is 100% woman and not a man in any way, shape, or form. And there you are. If you are ever in denial, that is a woman and not a man. And the medical industry was designed to brainwash you. Humanity has always been full of wisdom and knowledge. But in the 1500s, when the learned elders of Zion, what I call them learned elders of Zion, you can go ahead and do that, decided that humanity needed to be brainwashed for their evil methods, for their sick perversion. Because the more perversion that you have and continue to practice, the more the power of Satan that you have. And this sick and twisted perversion comes from inbreeding, one, and practicing all manner of abominations to have the power of Satan. And you'll understand what inbreeding is all about as we get into Legends of Roll Call. So next on our transgender investigation is actually the man that is called T-Pain. But T-Pain ain't no man. T-Pain has been in the music industry for quite a while and created so much lovable songs. But T-Pain is actually a female and not a man in any way, shape, or form. And as we've explained, the learned elders of Zion, who are the ones running the world now on Mayan juice, which has been faked to the world and the world doesn't know what it is, and can be said to be a snake oil. They are the ones creating all manners of abominations. And they created the United States for the same purpose of using it to lie to the world and to make sure that the United States harbors all sorts of abominations that they can control so they can get the power of Satan. They have used the United States to paint a picture of feminism to the whole entire world. So that's why, for example, in the United States of America, if you go to Washington, D.C., the monuments that you see are all feminine. The great woman who's said to be Justice or the Justice Department, if you look at the Justice Department emblem, it has a woman. Why is that? Because Satanism is the same as feminism. Deception is feminism. Everything that's wrong with the world is feminine because the creator is not a woman. He is a man. So as long as you can oppose masculinity, it means you are practicing feminism. Does that mean that all women are evil? Absolutely no. I don't want people thinking that. The women that are evil are the women who do not understand the role of a woman. That this is a man's world, and you opposing it as a woman because you do not know the commandments of the Creator and you have not kept it. You are not practicing it. It means that you are a Satanist, and you are going to find out as we get along on this particular video. But for now, we're taking a look at T-Pain, whose real name is Fahim Rashid. So as you can see right here, T-Pain as a woman, see, this is advanced transgender investigation, is the fact that from a woman's elbows, a woman starts spreading wider towards the hips, and the widest portion are the hips, which are below the crotch. And this is exactly what T-Pain is exhibiting here, because T-Pain is 100% female, Mr. Fahim Rashid. So here is another picture of T-Pain. As you can see, T-Pain's arm follows the contours of the body. Can you see that curve right here? Because that is how a woman's genetics, her skeleton, is designed to follow the hips because the hips are wider. So the arms follow the hips. And this is what T-Pain is exhibiting right here, because this is not Mr. T-Pain. It's Miss T-Pain camouflaging. And whosoever this, I think this guy's name is Vado or something like that. Is it Vado? Let me make sure that I get the name right. The guy's name is Movado. I shorten it by a couple of words. Movado, his real name is David Constantine. He's Jamaican, I think, or someone from the Caribbean. He's actually parading around with a female here because people do not understand this. We're going to have a whole particular section of Legends of Roll Call dedicated just to show you this, that hip hop was designed to promote homosexuality, and homosexuality is what is feminism. You have to understand that homosexuality is feminism in practice, because everything that opposes what the Creator made is female energy constructed into humanity by Satan. Women are easily deceived. If you are deceived, it means you are feminine because you are not doing the commandments of the Creator. You're not practicing it. So once a woman practices the commandments and knows it, because a lot of people do not know it, because Roman Christianity has changed the commandments and imputed in the Bible. The Bible that you read was written by Romans. They constructed a whole new religion that never existed before and imputed so many books, took out so many things from the Bible, changed the names, introduced the Holy Trinity, which is Satan, all right, into the Bibles that you read to cover up for the fact that in order to have the power of Satan in this world, you have to practice Satanism. Because if you practice the commandments of the Creator, what you have is the power of the Creator. But since men seek after Satan, because they were born of Satan, because the people who seek after Satan were born of the lineage of Satan, which Satan brought into this world at the start of Genesis. That lineage continues on till today, and they worship after their father. So in order to have the power of Satan, you have to practice feminism. That is how it works. So Mr. Movado here is hanging around with T-Pain because for the lovers of hip-hop was designed for one purpose only: to promote homosexuality, which you're going to find out as we get into roll calls in the later parts of Legends of Roll Call. So here's another image of T-Pain right here. And as you can see, T-Pain is keeping those hands where the female waist is, because the female waist is right below the rib cage. That's where the female waist starts, just directly above the female navel. And that is where T-Pain right here is putting her hands on, because T-Pain is 100% female. Hip-hop was designed to promote feminism, just like all music, but hip-hop specifically. It's camouflaging to you a form of masculinity, which is actually effeminate. All the dressing of hip-hop, like the baggy pants and sagging pants, is all exposing feminism, is all exposing homosexuality. Because the beauty of a woman is in her behind. And we're talking about here black women. Because if you're not black, we really don't know what you are yet. And you're going to find out sooner or later in this video as we get along. So, the beauty of a woman is in her butt. So the sagging pants and exposing your butt, what does that make you? You are trying to say that you're a female. So this is what people do not understand. When you think it's fashion, it's not fashion. Sagging your pants isn't fashion. That is homosexuality. So let's continue on. And here's another picture of T-Pain right here. You can see the huge curves that this so-called man has, and the hips that are below the crotch and the Q angle, because T-Pain is 100% female. Hip hop was totally designed. It doesn't matter what you know about hip hop or the people that you listen to, whether it be Tupac Shakur, Notorious B.I.G., they're all homosexuals, and you are going to find out on Legends of Roll Call. This is the destruction of all legends. Let's continue on. Here's another picture of T-Pain. As you can see, the way T-Pain keeps these arms right here is how a woman keeps her arms, because the arms need to follow the hourglass hips of a female. And this is what T-Pain is exhibiting, because T-Pain is 100% female and not a man in any way, shape, or form. When you see people like Lil Wayne right here sagging their pants, and all the young children are following after, what they are teaching you is how to be a homosexual. When a man takes off his shirt, why would you need to take off your shirt? What are you taking it off for? What do we need to see? It's all promoting homosexuality and covering it up, because people do not understand. They are not seeking after the Creator, because sad as it might be, and you're gonna find out on Legends of Roll Call, I say this with a very heavy heart. 90% of the population are children of Satan, practicing Satanists. They don't know it, but they're gonna know it now today. And you're gonna know so that if you are going after the commandments and keeping the commandments of the Creator, because we are at the precipice, at the end of this world. We will tell you the year that the world is gonna end, but it's not gonna be on Legends of Roll Call. It will be sometime. We will tell you the year this world ends, and it's very, very close. And you should know that everything we tell you, we don't just say it. It's because we know it. And it's so that I happen to be the voice of those who know it. Let's continue on. So this is T-Pain's so-called wife. So all the time you've been thinking you've been looking at a heterosexual couple, and you watch them on TV on the so many shows that they try to show to you, like real life TV, if that's what you call it. All right. What you're looking at is a homosexual couple in T-Pain and Amber Najam. Mr. Fahim is actually a female. That's why he's got this hair dye, because people don't understand how to look at pictures and understand what they're looking at. And we're going to show all of that in the shape of a world. It's not going to be in this video, because people who do not go after the truth deserve only the lake of fire. And some people say, we should tell you the truth because it's the Christian doctrine to do so. No, there's no such thing. We do not owe you anything to tell you anything. If you want the truth, then you go after it. We are not Christians, by the way. We don't know anything about God or any of the names that you think that you call upon, because those are all names of Satan. What the Creator said, which is the commandments, which Satan has twisted up, was said, do not do any wickedness. He did not say do good. He said, do not do any wickedness. But Roman Christianity switched it up and said, do good. It's sort of the same thing that the Creator had always said in the Old Testament, which still is what we practice today. But because Roman Christianity and Satan wanted to switch up the words, they created a New Testament, which is all fake. And we'll get into that fully on The Shape of a World, but not on this video. They created the New Testament, created Christianity, which is a form of Hinduism or Buddhism, and told you guys that this is the new way to worship the Creator by doing good, instead of the truth, which is you shall not do any wickedness or any evil to any man. Those are two different things. Not doing wickedness and doing good are two polar opposites. That means if you're not to do wickedness, you're not to practice any form of wickedness against anybody. But if you are to do good, it means that there is evil. Because people don't understand this. When you do good, it means there's a presence of evil. So the good now, right, makes you to see good because there's evil present. That is how it works. But if you do not do evil, you do not need to do any good. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So we do not owe anybody anything. You die at your own peril. And if you die at your own peril, it means that you were a child of Satan. But if you hear the truth and you go after it, it means you are a child of the Creator. Because people make all sorts of excuses. Like somebody sent us an email and said that they are disappointed in us, that what we are doing is not the truth. Oh, you should be disappointed with us because we are not talking about Christian doctrines here. We do not owe anybody anything to do anything for anybody. All that we care about is the truth. We present the truth to you. If you like it, then you take it. If you did not take it and follow after it, it means you're a child of Satan. That's pure and simple. And the funny thing about all this is that Christianity has made a lot of people to think that they know something, and especially with the pseudosciences that is being taught, has convinced a lot of people in this world that they have some knowledge. They do not know anything. I mean, absolutely anything, because everything that you know is a lie, and you're just going to get a tip of it on this particular Legends of Roll Call. Let's continue with some more pictures of Mr. Let's call him a Miss because it's actually Miss Fahim Rashid. Here's another picture of T-Pain, Miss Fahim Rashid, who's been lying to all you guys that he's a man. No, T-Pain is 100% female. You can see this right here. The hips are below the crotch. Let's blow this up as much as we can. You can see that hourglass figure that starts spreading from underneath the elbows and the cute angle that's below the crotch because T-Pain is 100% female. Look at all the curves. T-Pain, 100% woman. And here's T-Pain again trying to deceive you that he's a man because he's trying to find the position of the male waist, but he cannot do that because T-Pain is 100% female. You can see that arm position right there is the arm position of a woman placing her hands on the female hip and not the male waist because T-Pain is 100% female. Now you're gonna find out on this particular Legends of Roll Calls video down maybe part 2, 3 down on how the whole system is organized and rigged, because here is the so-called parent to Amber Najam. So if your own daddy gives you over to a female, because when you're up close with a woman, you're going to know that this is a woman, regardless of whatever makeup or false prosthetics that the female tries to wear. When you're up close with a female trying to be a male, you will know off the bat that this is a woman. Now, this so-called man who's supposed to be the father of this lady, all right, who is married to T-Pain, knows that this is a female. But why would he be celebrating this? Because there's something very sinister, very, very pure, unadulterated evil in the worst of the worsts that's going on in Hollywood that people do not understand. And we're going to break it down all on The Shape of a World. This is not the video for it, but regardless, we just wanted to show you that there is something else going on that meets the eye. And it's terrible because T-Pain is 100% female. And here's T-Pain definitely with an arch in that back, as you can see. And here's one thing you have to understand about the female arch so you can get it. So the female arch usually starts right below her shoulder blades. That's when you start seeing the arch. If a man is trying to be a female and is taking out his ribs or something, what you notice is that the back is going to be straight, then somewhere just below the male waist, it looks like it wants to mimic an arch, but it's not an arch, it's a straight back. But with females, it's very, very evident because right from below the shoulder blades, as you can see here, the arch starts going in and appears as an arch because the pelvis of a female is tilted forward for childbirth. And this is what Miss T-Pain, Fahim Rashid, is presenting to you, because Miss Fahim Rashid is 100% female. It's not a man in any way. And here's another picture of T-Pain. As you can still see, those arms are trying to follow the hips, curving like the hips, because T-Pain is 100% female and not a man in any way, shape, or form. And here is T-Pain again, still trying to find the male waist, but it does not exist because T-Pain is female and has been lying to you this whole entire time that he's male. This is what hip-hop has been doing, because hip-hop was designed for one purpose only. Let me make you guys understand what's really going on. If you are a student of the Bible, there's a particular portion of the Bible in Matthew. I will get into that chapter right now. We may leave a link on the screen. I'll just put it up on the screen for you to read. The Creator said, all right, that he planted good seed and the enemy planted evil seed. And when he spoke with his other high priest, because when you read that word in the Bible that says disciples, it's not disciple, they were high priests. We'll get into that later on The Shape of a World, because this is not the video for it. Everybody who's listening to this video only deserves one thing: confusion and a lack of understanding, because they are children of Satan. They don't go after the truth. They think we're here trying to do anything besides telling you the truth. Maybe they think we're trying to sell you some sort of material. No, we're not. We are only interested in the truth. So the Creator said that he had planted good seed and the enemy had planted bad seed. And the angels told him, let us go and rip out this bad seed. And the Creator said, no, now is not the time. Let them both grow, both the good and the bad, and at the time of harvest, so you do not uproot the good seed, there'll be a clear distinction between the bad seed and the good seed for harvest. So a lot of people always ask the question, if the Creator created this world good and evil started in Satan, why did he not just destroy evil right at the start? Because people do not understand the concept of growth. You do not harvest things before they reach maturity. If you are a farmer, this is why it's so important that people grow their own food, because if they were to grow their own food, they would understand all the mysteries of creation. COVID-19 would not have happened as it has happened, as we're going to show you. Because the only reason why COVID-19 succeeded was because of what? Food. You're going to find that out very soon. It succeeded because of food. You are not growing your own food. So anybody who's not growing your own food, you are a Satanist. It's pure, plain and simple. Because you are not taking responsibility for what keeps you alive, for what the Creator told you to do, to grow your own food. So getting back to the subject, the Creator told the angels, now is not the time. Let both the good seed and the bad seed grow, and at the time of harvest, you'll be able to pull them out. So, the reason why the Creator did not destroy evil at its onset altogether and totally eradicate it is because it did not reach maturity. So at this point in time in our history, hip-hop was created to make sure that homosexuality, that anybody who was a hidden homosexual, all right, because we are at the point of maturity, at the point of harvest, that anybody who was a hidden homosexual will truly reveal that he's a homosexual and will not be hiding anymore. Because evil has reached its maturity. So that is why all the countries in the world enacted homosexual laws, so that if you were busy hiding in your bedroom
and being a homosexual. Now, because they've given you free arm and say you're free to practice it anyway, you're gonna come out of the closet and gonna present yourself, because evil has reached its maturity. So this was the reason for all the creation of everything, for all the creation of openness, equality, so that whosoever was evil will not be hiding behind closed doors. Because why? When a tree matures, it bears fruit, and the fruit is openly seen. When a tree is not mature, the fruit is not seen. When a tree matures and bears forth fruit, it is time for harvest. So the reason for the openness, the reason for homosexuality being spread in everything around you, is because evil has matured and it's time for it to be rooted out. So Satan has to go with all his kids and all his wicked angels, because the time of the harvest is at hand. Do you understand what's going on now? Let's continue on. And here's T-Pain again. You can see that hourglass figure and a cute Q angle that's below the crotch, because T-Pain is 100% female. And can you imagine that up till now? I want you to pay attention to my words right here. For the many years that you've known T-Pain as an artist, you've never heard from any single hip-hop person in the whole entire world tell you that this is a woman. Why is that so? Because evil always protects evil, and hip-hop was created to promote homosexuality, and therefore anybody who does hip-hop music is going to get what? Infected by the demon of homosexuality and effeminism. Now, people don't understand the power of music. If you're listening to music without a filter, that means you do not have in mind the creator. The music is going to teach you, is going to infest you with demons, that you act as the music or whatever that is being transferred by that demon that you hear through the music. Now, people have to understand this. Music is used to transfer demon energy, which people go around saying in today's witch language, a vibe. Let me show you how powerful music is. I want you to play music through a speaker. Turn up the music. Let it be loud. Put some water in a cup. Put it or place it near the speakers. You will notice that the water in the cup starts vibrating. Why? Because it's a transfer of energy from the music coming through your speakers to the water.
The film you're about to see has no characters. If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter.
Now, I want to ask you a question. What is a human being made of primarily? Water. So that means every time you're listening to music, there's a transfer of energy from that music. And what do you think that transfer of energy is? It's a demon. So if you don't have a filter, all right, and say, okay, I'm not going to let this music affect my thoughts, all right, you just open the doorway for all sorts of demons into your life. And you keep asking why your life is the way it is. It's because you are not having a filter to keep the commandments and practice the commandments and do the commandments, and you don't even know what the commandments are. Because what you find in the book of Exodus as the commandments is not really the commandments. They have twisted it out. They've imputed certain things and changed certain things. And we're going to show you just what has been changed in like 3 parts of the commandments. Not everything, because the people who do not like the truth only deserve that. They do not deserve to know any information or truth because they do not value truth. There's no value in it for them. They think other things are more important. But the world is going to end. And we're going to show you scientifically, not pseudoscience, scientifically, on how it's happening. Here is T-Pain with the wide crotch of a female and the curvy hips of a female, because T-Pain is 100% female. So we wanted to give you every picture of T-Pain for you to see that this is a woman. So you will have no doubts in your mind and understand the reason for hip-hop music. There are a lot of differences between a black woman's body, genetically, which is talking about the skeleton, and anybody else who is not black. That means you have straight hair, an albino, and you're going to find out your real history if you're an albino by the end of the Legends of Roll Call video. But the reason for this particular part or section of the video is because when some people are trying to do some sort of gender check, using advanced techniques, which means you want to look at every point and part of the skeleton, you're always going to come up short when you try to think that all women have the same genetic makeup. Black women, woolly-haired women, are distinctively very different from albino or anybody with straight hair women. They are not one and the same. So that's why sometimes you use the same technique in the advanced gender check. So for example, when I talk about advanced gender check, I'm talking about stuff like you're looking at maybe the way the arms follow the contours of the body. It's not going to be the same for albino women because albino women have shorter arms. They have longer and wider shoulders because of the wider collarbones that they have, and they have squarer shoulders. When we talk about squarer shoulders, we're talking about the edges of the shoulders right here. So for women that are not black, this is going to be squarer, okay? And for black women with woolly hair, this is going to be rounder, and they're going to have shorter collarbones. So you're looking at about 4 albino females here, and I want you to notice something very specific about each of their collarbones. They are longer, all right? And they are much more squarer. So this happens across all females who are albino. They have longer collarbones and squarer shoulders. They have wider shoulders. So this is what happens when you inbreed. When black people inbreed, everything is thrown off the bodies. So for example, right here, when you're looking at all these albino women, during conception, at that point in time in which, you know, the sperm meets an egg and the information starts rolling along on how to construct the human body, because of a lack of carbon, there is not sufficient information in that fetus to be able to establish where each of the skeleton or parts of the body on how they should function properly. So normally, in a normal human being, which is talking about a black person, a normal black person should have longer limbs, all right? That means their arms are supposed to be longer. You're going to have a shorter torso, and that you're going to have less body fat and more muscle mass. Before you can come out as an albino, before a black person can come out as an albino, they have at least been inbreeding continually. The descendants of the people who started the inbreeding process continue the same process for at least 4 generations, because by the 4th generation, the children are going to come out having pale skin and straight hair, which is albinism. That is what happens. So with these women right here, at the point of time of conception in which their parents, who are directly related by a sibling for at least 4 generations, when the sperm and the egg meets and that conception process starts, instead of the body to now make the limbs to be longer for the women, all right, it now makes the limbs right here, the arms, to be shorter, and that extra length of the arms goes into the shoulders and goes into the torso and makes everything longer. Goes into the torso, goes into the pelvis, and goes into the shoulders. So this is trying to show you the particular problem of the lack of testosterone in everybody who's an albino, in everybody who has straight hair. They suffer from a great lack of testosterone, which is necessary for all the processes in the human body. So this is what happens during the conception phase of an albino who's getting pregnant. The body or the fetus itself lacks carbon, and carbon is used to pass information on how the fetus should grow, and everything is thrown off. So that is why when you're using advanced techniques, okay, of trying to determine the gender of someone, okay, you cannot use the same techniques across everybody else. Because if you use that particular technique on an albino woman, a straight-haired woman, you'll most likely think that she's male, because wider shoulders and longer collarbones are supposed to be on males. But this is the opposite. This is the reverse. It's the same thing that happens with albino males. Instead of having wider, longer collarbones, they have shorter collarbones. So the reverse happens in albino males. So even though the albino males' collarbones are going to be shorter, they're still going to be wider than the albino females, but they are going to be shorter when compared to a black male. So the comparison here is with a black male. The reverse happens, okay? So for the women have longer collarbones, squarer shoulders, compared to black women who will have shorter collarbones and rounder shoulders. And we'll get to that in a minute. In the albino males, they now have shorter collarbones, all right? The shoulders are not squarer compared to black males because of inbreeding. Now remember what we told you. Not everybody who is black is actually black. You have to look at the hair, because as we've told you, they can by ethnicity define themselves to be black, but they are actually albinos. So you'll notice that in a lot and lots of black Americans. Why is that the case? Because people do not know about black American history, that there has always been breeding in black Americans. And we're going to show you the true history of black Americans on the video that's called The Shape of a World. We're not going to be talking about this on this particular video. So the history of black Americans has shown that they've always have inbreeding. Now, the inbreeding that they've had has not always been at the sibling levels, although it could have happened and nobody knows. But it does happen at the cousin levels. So in black American history, there has been a lot of cousins marrying, and we're going to show you the identification markers for establishing and knowing if someone is directly related by a cousin. That means in their generations, their parents have been cousins for at least 4 consecutive generations. And we're going to show you the genetic markers for that later on in the video on Legends of Roll Call. But for here, we just want you to understand that if you are trying to use the advanced techniques of identifying gender, and you want to use the same identifying techniques across black women, woolly haired women, and albino women here, that you are going to fail. So that is why the only time that you should use this advanced genetic markers, all right, for identifying the gender of a female is only on black woolly haired women. If you're trying to do a gender check for everybody else, irrespective of their ethnicity, always target the hips and the back. All right? All women will have an arch in the back because all women's pelvises are tilted forward. And all women will have hips below the crotch and an acute Q angle identifying that those hips are below the crotch. You will never miss on that. But for anything else, when you go into looking at the genetic markers like shoulders and other stuff, all right, shoulders, the way the arm flows across the body, you're most likely gonna get it wrong if you don't have the right picture. Because on albino females, on straight-haired women, because of the longer collarbones, wider shoulders, this throws off the way the arm rests on the body. And you're almost going to get it wrong, most likely. Because of the wider shoulders, the arm does not rest the way it's supposed to rest on a woman's body. This is part of the reason that albino women get older real quick, because they are carrying a lot of weight on top of their shoulders genetically on their skeleton when they were not supposed to carry that. Because the reason for the shorter shoulder length of a black woman is so that the arms can rest on the body. She's doing less work, walking around or doing anything, she's not tired. But if your shoulders are wider, all right, especially if you're a female, because it's only males are supposed to have the wider shoulders because they have the perfect balance across the body. So the weight of the shoulders is not a problem. But for women, albino women, the wider shoulders and longer collarbones is too much weight because the arms right here will not be resting properly on the body. And so they get tired and they grow old quickly. Now let's show you a picture side by side now of a black woman so you can see what we're talking about, and we're going to do some comparisons so you can actually see that black women have shorter collarbones, rounder shoulders, and shorter overall length of the shoulders. So here is a very great comparison of two polar opposites. One is totally black, Lupita Nyong'o on your right, a black woman, woolly haired woman, if that's what you want to say. And over here, you have Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley starred in the movie called Star Wars. Now, I want you to take a good look at their shoulders, right? If you notice on Daisy Ridley here, the collarbone is longer. Look at the length of the travel right here. Very long collarbone, all right? Look at the length of the travel. Very long collarbone. Now, look over here at Lupita Nyong'o's shoulders. Let me try to blow this up as much as I can so you guys can see it clearly. All right. I want you to take a good look at this. All right. The collarbone, the length of travel is very short. So this is what we're trying to explain to you. So because of this shorter collarbone, all right, the arms of Lupita Nyong'o will rest normally as it should be on a woman. But if you notice, even though this picture is not blown up as much as we can, but let's try to see if we can do that, okay? These arms right here, right, will not rest naturally as it should be on a woman because the shoulder is longer. The collarbone is longer. So Daisy Ridley's body is not going to be resting properly. At any point in time when she's walking around, the body is going to be expending more energy, doing more work. And this is the reason why albino people get older, especially the females, get older quickly. If you go to a channel and go through the playlist that's called Myth of Whiteness Intelligence, I think it's like a 2-part series or maybe 3 or 4 parts. Don't quite remember how many parts we have up there at this point in time. But if you go through that playlist and you sit down and watch it, you will find out that we show you factually that the albino body, whether male or female, does not actually rest when it's sleeping. It's working hard because everything is out of sync. And that is the reason albino people are sick. That is why albino people are always in the hospital. That is why 80%, right, of people in the hospital are albinos, because albinism is a sickness. It is a disease. It is the most terrible disease that has ever happened in this world. And we're going to show you that fully so you have full understanding on Legends of Roll Call. We already talked about it on Roll Call, but we're going to take it a step further to show you how bad the disease is. All right? So this is the reason why albino people get old quick, have sagging skin, because the body is not resting, because the genetics, the skeleton is off. So another thing to show you about the shoulders, the difference is, like we explained earlier, is that with black women, the shoulders are rounder. Okay? What do we mean by rounder? At the end of the shoulders right here, that you see if you follow my mouse on Lupita Nyong'o, we're going to show you some more pictures. It is rounder. Rounder because the way the creator designed the woman from the man, he made the woman to be rounder in everything. So in everything that the creator made on the black woman, which is what he created, and man created albinism in this, okay? Everything on the black woman is rounder. So as you can notice right here on Lupita Nyong'o's shoulders, the end of these shoulders right here is rounder. With albino females, it is squarer. It's not round as you can see right here. It ends squarer. And let's pick up some more pictures to show you that. So this picture includes Emilia Clarke. It includes Sofia Vergara and about 2 other females that we don't quite remember their names at this point in time, which we don't need to, because all we're trying to show you is the squarer, wider, longer shoulders of all albino women, anybody with straight hair women. So as you can see right here, the endings of this shoulder, right, are squarer for all these females who are albinos. So take a look. Squarer shoulders, squarer shoulders, squarer shoulders, longer collarbones. You can see how long the collarbone and shoulders are. Look at that, longer collarbones, squarer. They are not round endings. So if any of you think that you got it going on with an albino woman, we are sorry to tell you that you are in the wrong. There is no beauty, absolutely no beauty in anything that's albinic, because the creator did not make us albino. He made us black. All right? And let me make you guys understand something. All right? The creator made us black, but we are now mortal. So there was a time when man was immortal. People will not know what immortality means because they've never been taught of the body that you were before you became flesh and blood. We're going to do all that revelation because it's mind-blowing, mind-boggling information that the people, that the government of this world, that the learned elders of Zion have hidden from humanity. They did not put that in the Bible and people have no clue. All they know about is being black, mortal, and fleshy. But we'll get into that on the video that's called The Shape of a World, which we're going to reveal everything. But here, we just want you to show you the squarer endings of the shoulders of all albino women. Okay? So if you think that you got an albino woman and you're so happy about it, the best thing that you have to do right now is find out the name of the creator. okay? And do after his commandments and know his name. Otherwise, what you got going on is an abomination. You're gonna find out sooner or later on Legends of Roll Call as we continue. But let's pick up some more pictures and show you the shoulder differences so you can see it very clearly between black women, right, and all albino women who have naturally longer, wider, squarer shoulders. So to the right of your screen, you have black women because we place them on the right because this is the right way that a woman should look. You were created black with woolly hair, and over here on the left you have albino or anybody with straight hair, which is what black people created. Okay, the creator created this and black people created that, and they're on the left, the albino women on the left, because this is not the way you should look. This is not the way you should aspire to look, because nobody should be inbreeding. And the reason for this particular picture is because we want to show you that Daisy Ridley right here of Star Wars, okay, is in the same arm position as the black woman called Samira Wiley on your right. So you can notice right here that the shoulders of this black woman, the collarbone is shorter. You can also notice that the shoulders are rounder, the edges of the shoulders right here are rounder, while that of Daisy Ridley here on the left is squarer because of a lack of testosterone over here and more testosterone here in black women. And as we've showed before on Roll Call, black women have higher testosterone levels than even albino males. Higher testosterone, which makes them stronger, wiser, and intelligent than all albino males. So every form of intelligence that you see on television that's coming from albino has been taught to that person by a black person. We'll get into that later on The Shape of a World, but not on this video. So let's do some more comparisons. So here is another comparison of an albino woman with a woolly haired woman to your right. On the left you have Olivia Wilde, and this is some black woman we just picked up random from the internet, okay? You can still notice the wider collarbones, right? The longer shoulder length width and the squarer endings of the shoulders, because this is what all albino women look like, anybody with straight hair. But over here you can see that this collarbone for this black woman is shorter and the shoulders are rounder at the end. Another comparison.